South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is favourably disposed to a proposal by Cosatu to use funds from a state-owned asset manager, the PIC, to reduce Eskom's debt. Now, Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan has also indicated that the union's proposal is being taken seriously, but many interpret this proposal as a way of using workers' pensions to bail out Eskom. Well, to explain exactly what the intention is, we're joined by Cosatu's Social Policy Coordinator, Lebogang Malaisi. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Lebogang. I mean, many questions being raised at this point. I mean, first of all, would the PIC money be coming from the pension savings?
Well, in the way that the PIC is structured, Criselda, is that the money would come from the pension savings because they're a large investor within the PIC. But I think I need to take us to this point that this is not a blank check of some sorts. What we are proposing to do here is to significantly reduce the debt of Eskom from 450 billion to 200 billion rand. And how we want to do this is through a special purpose financing vehicle that will see us making use of not just PIC money. So it's PIC, it's the IDC as well as DFIs to come together and drastically reduce the debt that Eskom is currently facing. It's not some sort of a blank check, it's not a donation, it's also tied to a number of conditions. First of all, looking at the renegotiation of the IPP as well as the coal supply contracts for renegotiation of their prices to drastically reduce those, or those contracts have to face cancellation.
I'll come to that very shortly, Lebogang, but also, you know, while it's not explicitly stated at this point, it does seem to be a plan by Cosatu to keep Eskom going and to prevent retrenchments. Is that part of why you are putting this proposal on the table?
So this even goes broader than just preventing retrenchments. I think we need to come to the realization that Eskom is tied to so many economic players in the market right now. We cannot afford to allow for a collapse of Eskom. We also need to understand that a collapse of Eskom will likely lead to an implosion of our economy as we know it, leading us to economic crisis. So over and above protecting the 44,000 workers that are currently in Eskom currently, we are also looking at protecting the jobs of everybody really, because all our roles are closely tied to the work of Eskom because they generate 95% of all of our electricity.
So you're basically arguing that everyone loses, you know, if Eskom implodes. But to South Africans who've seen billions disappearing, you know, from state-owned entities never to return, it sounds like throwing money into a bottomless tip.
Criselda, the truth of the matter is that we have to do something when it comes to Eskom right now. You've rightly alluded to the fact that everybody wins when everybody loses rather, when Eskom goes under. So there needs to be a greater effort for everybody to come to the table and provide solutions to how we can rescue Eskom. We cannot allow it to implode because really the future of our economy depends on the sustainability of Eskom. Rightly so, there are people who have looted the power utility and they must be brought to book. There are a number of commissions that are underway that are dealing with that. But what we need to understand is that, and this is one of the concepts that we talk to in our turnaround strategy, is that there's a principle of an urgency of now. We need to do something right now to save the power utility.
But
we've identified three options.
But Lebogang, you'll forgive me. I think the first point would obviously be to hold those to account who have looted Eskom and make sure that some of the money that was taken from it is returned, instead of keeping on throwing money at what is indeed a problem, which you obviously agree it's a problem. So continuing to throw money at Eskom without having those who've brought it to its knees to account is like starting from the bottom right to the top.
Criselda, we're not saying that there should be no repercussions for those who have looted the power utility. Our work plan talks to that in the long term, those who have looted the utility have to face the full might of the law. But things have to happen within these very 3 months, from now up until the 3 months is done, that have to save Eskom. This is why the interventions that we are doing are urgent and they have to be done right now. In the medium term, and we recognize this in our intervention, that in the medium term, definitely people have to be in orange overalls for the role that they've played in looting Eskom. But in the immediate, there are things that we have to do right now, and that is what our intervention is trying to address.
South Africa keeps hearing calls for those who've looted quite a number of, state-owned enterprises in South Africa to be put in orange overalls. So you're saying that this is an innovative move to save Eskom. But I'll ask you again, but what about asking those who plunged Eskom into bankruptcy to bring the money back? Surely that's where you should start, Lebogang. I understand the noble plan to try and save Eskom, to keep the lights on and stopping the country from, plunging into further chaos. If Eskom doesn't work, certainly it causes a problem. But what about those who brought it to its knees of bringing back the money? Surely that should also be seen as priority, and that does not give anybody else, leeway to say we can loot and nothing happens.
Criselda, I don't think anyone is saying that anyone can loot and nothing happens. The plan that we are talking to here specifically brings measures in which we can do that. I think we need to go through the work plan here. We talked to a number of issues. We talked to a comprehensive public audit that has to look at the expenditure. Why is it that the expenditure has been so bloated within Eskom? Why have certain costs ballooned over the period of times that they have? So these are the things that we recognize. It's not like we're saying that we're kicking this can down the road to deal with it as and when we feel like it. It is urgent. It must be dealt with. That is why these are the conditions that come with the plan that we are trying to implement. It's not the fact that we'll do one and leave the other. The two actually go together. So we're actually saying the same thing. We want to do the immediate things, but we recognize the fact that steps have to be taken to make sure that those who have acted with impunity are punished.
In this instance, with this proposal currently on the table, does worker consultation need to be made in this instance or done?
Absolutely. We cannot do anything without the full mandate of our...
Putting the proposal on the table.
Okay, so we've engaged on a number of interventions with our various affiliates. We have had labor schools last week. As early as last year, in fact, we've been engaging with a number of our membership. We're trying to do everything as humanly possible to get this message to our constituency and get it to the members and affiliates of Cosatu. We are engaging with workers, not just in the Federation of Cosatu. We are engaging with other federations, FEDUSA and NACTU, to get the buy-in for this. So this is not just a Cosatu project that we are going full steams ahead without our membership. We are consulting them on an ongoing basis. We're even going as far as saying, if our plan does not meet your satisfaction, bring us alternatives. Yeah. We will also include that as part of our final intervention, but understanding that something has to be done now.
Very quickly, FEDUSA has so far said no. Are you getting that buy-in from this worker consultation that you've been on?
So FEDUSA has not said no. An affiliate within FEDUSA has said no, which is the PSA. So FEDUSA, NACTU, we've had a meeting. We've come from the union buildings where we are together as 3 labor federations engaging on this matter, and we have received the requisite buy-in from the 3 largest federations in South Africa.
All right, thank you very much indeed for your time. Lots of reaction, of course, to that proposal by Cosatu. That was the Cosatu Social Policy Coordinator, Lebogang Malaisi, joining us from our studios in Pretoria. Thank you very much indeed for your time.